coffee that's stronger than a latte?
Do an iced Americano.
With milk?
Yeah, we'll put some milk in, we can add more shots into an iced latte.
Could I get an iced Americano, please? Yeah, with oat milk, please.
With oat milk?
Yeah.
Will you want any extra shots or anything?
No, I'll try... How many shots is an Americano?
3.
No, that should be enough, thanks.
Yeah?
Yeah. That's it, thanks.
Yeah, just write down again.
Thank you. Iced latte is usually my go-to, but honestly, I just find they're a bit milky half the time, so we're trying something new. Thank you so much. Thank you. My name is no, my sign is no, my number is no. Looks a lot darker than my lattes, I'm telling you. Oh, I think this is the one for me. Or maybe it's a bit too strong. Ideally, this video would have been a Dubai vlog, but as you can see, I'm not in Dubai. There's no Dubai vlog. I talked a lot about this big trip before we went away, how it was the trip of a lifetime, and it really was. You know, we were going to see Hong Kong, Bali, Singapore and Dubai. It was the biggest trip me and Sean have ever done. It was a big moment for it. It was a big thing. And the trip was absolutely amazing. Like, I would do it all over again, even with the same outcome. Last night in Bali is when I got sick. The last day in Bali, I was quite sick with suspected traveller's belly, which is also known as Bali belly, but I don't like to address it as that because locals there don't like that name because it puts people off going to Bali, and they really do rely on tourism in the country. But also, it didn't spoil my trip at all. Like, if it was Bali belly that I had, it didn't spoil any of the trip. Well, it did. It spoiled Dubai, but like, I would go back. Do you know what I mean? I got suspected traveller's belly. This was on the last night in Bali. I was getting really bad stomach cramps. And I had blood as well. So I was like, right, I'm on my period. Like, fine, I'm getting cramps a bit worse than usual. But then, like, this is TMI. Like, we know on this channel now, we're just telling how it is. I got the shit. And it was, like, excruciating cramp pain before a toilet episode, you know. It was honestly like in agony. So the last day in Bali, I couldn't leave the hotel room. Sean left, done his own thing, and then managed to get the flight to Hong Kong. And I kind of seemed to sort myself out a bit. I'm not sure what happened, but I was taking lots of coconut water, probiotics. Like, I was doing everything they tell you to do in Bali. So I did that. We got to Hong Kong. The flight to Hong Kong was fine. The first night in Hong Kong, I was fine. I felt fine. I managed to eat normal food. I had a few drinks. I shouldn't have did this looking back now, but I was on my holiday, you know. But yeah, the first day in Hong Kong and night, absolutely fine. The second day, I felt a bit shit. I had a headache and I was getting cramps and pains, but it wasn't as bad as the first night in Bali. So I was like, oh, it's maybe slightly there, it's still wearing off, you know, that type of thing. But the third day, I was absolutely just not well at all. We were meant to be going to the botanical gardens, and I just turned around to Sean and I said, I'm really sorry, like, I don't think I can go. I feel not good. So I went back to the hotel room and I slept most of the day, and Sean carried on with going to the botanical gardens and stuff. He didn't want to, but I was like, please go, you're going to make me feel 10 times worse if you have to sit in the room as well. Like, I really want you to go and do it, just go. So he did, and you know, it was good for him to get out and do that. So then we had to get the flight from Hong Kong to Dubai, which was a 7-hour flight, 7.5-hour flight. 2 hours into that flight, I took a turn for the worst. I was getting hot and cold sweat. I was severely, like, dehydrated. I couldn't get enough water in us. I felt sick. My head was spinning and my stomach cramps were apparent. They were there. So I actually, like, I never do this. I'm quite a shy person, but I had to speak to the air hostess, and I told her that I hadn't been quite right in Bali and what was happening. And I said, I feel really ill. She was like, I'll call the doctor, and I was like, I don't know if it needs that, because like, she would have to call the on-ground doctor. They could have turned around and said, I think we need to land the plane. And I was like, oh my god, I was starting to panic. I was like, I don't think I need that. I just, how much is it for us to upgrade to business class so I can lie down? Because all I wanted at this point was a bed. I just wanted to sleep. And I was like, how much would it be for me? Like, bearing in mind, we were like 2 hours into the flight, and I was like, how much would it be for me just to like go in a bed in business class? Like, I don't want no service or anything, but I'll pay. And she was like, £1,300. And I was like, for 4 hours, we had like 4 hours left of the plane. I couldn't do it, guys, right? I couldn't spend £1,300. I was like, I'll just have to suffer. Like, I couldn't do that. But I was so ill. I started crying, and I was like, I feel like, Sean took this picture of us on the plane, and I just think I genuinely do look quite ill, I think. Anyway, Sean and the other woman who was sitting on the like 3 rows of seats, they got moved. So the air hostess moved Sean to like another free seat, and the other woman who was on our row, and I got to lie down on the 3 seats. And honestly, like, it was a godsend. Like, thank you so much to that lady for moving, and to Sean, but also to the air hostess for organising it, because honestly, like, I really just needed to sleep. So for the rest of the flight, I did manage to get a few hours sleep. We got off the flight, I still felt crap, and I honestly just couldn't wait to get to the hotel in Dubai. And I was like, I'm just gonna go to bed in Dubai. I don't care, like, I need to go to bed. So we got to the Dubai hotel. It was like 3 a.m. in the morning. Got to the Dubai hotel, checked in, went to bed, and I literally just slept. I was so, like, I just didn't feel myself. Slept. The next morning I woke up, and oh my god, I was in agony. Like, I was crying with the pain of my stomach cramps. I couldn't eat. I hadn't eaten for like 2 days at this point. So I went off my food altogether. I couldn't eat. The first day we woke up in Dubai, I couldn't leave the room. I had excruciating stomach cramps, and Sean was that worried about us. He was like, your skin was going like white and different colours, and I was like, Sean was like, you looked so ill. So we asked the hotel if they had a call out doctor to see us, because I was thinking at this point I needed IV. I needed rehydration, definitely, for sure, because I knew I was severely dehydrated. Every time I was standing up, I was getting excruciating headaches. So we spoke to them, and they had turned around and called out an ambulance. So I was like, oh my god, I don't think it's this deep. But anyway, the 2 paramedics came. They were absolutely lovely, like, took all my vitals, and then decided to take us to the hospital. Took us to the hospital. I was severely dehydrated. I got an IV. I got some antibiotics on the IV drip. I was there for like 5 hours ish. Sean came with us. Oh, but while all this was happening, in the midst of all this happening, the first day in Dubai, Sean stood up in the morning, went to make himself a coffee, and stubbed his toe and broke it. So he was hobbling around the full of Dubai, and I was on my felt like my deathbed. So the pair of us looked like a right pair. I was in the hospital. They released us from the hospital and said, he has loads of antibiotics. I honestly got like a medication bag full of stuff, and it was like antibiotics, Imodium, like loads of stuff. And they were like, he has everything you might need over the next few days. Like, you've got, he said I had a like stomach infection, inflamed outer lining stomach infection or something it was. I don't know if that's food poisoning, to be honest. There was a little bit of a language barrier, so I never really got like all of the information. But anyway, they were really good anyway. Sent us home back from the hospital, and because I'd had the antibiotics via the IV, I felt amazing for a few hours, and I ended up eating some boiled potatoes, because this is what the doctor recommended. He said like a soft food diet thing. So I had some boiled potatoes and a banana from the restaurant at the hotel. So then managed to go to bed and stuff. Still wasn't feeling great that night. The next day woke up and I felt even worse. I didn't feel good at all. I says to Sean, it must be just until the antibiotics kicked in. And I was like, right, so I was taking everything, but I had loads of mosquito bites on my legs as well. And I think we got into a bit of a panic, thinking maybe something had happened with them, because we hadn't actually mentioned them at the doctor's, because we didn't see it as a big deal. It was now to do with the mosquito bites, long story short, but I just added that in. So we ended up getting a call out doctor to come out to the hotel that day to see us, and she was absolutely amazing. She came in, I got an IV in the room in the hotel. She was like, yeah, I'm going to give you another IV. So I got another IV. She took my bloods, my vitals and everything, and confirmed that it was what the hospital had said, and it was just a really bad case of it. I was dehydrated, so she had put some like hydration in us and all that type of stuff. And after she left, I felt much better. And then the next day we were meant to get a flight home, and I physically don't feel like I could have done it. Still had the runs, I still felt sick. I hadn't left the bed in literally 2 or 3 days, like apart from going to the hospital. I just didn't feel like I could have made the flight. I was so ill, and having that traumatic flight from Hong Kong to Dubai, I didn't want to experience that again. Like, I was so scared. So we missed our flight, and then the next day we rebooked onto another flight because it gave the medicine a little bit more time to kick in and work. I felt good enough. We got on that flight. It wasn't too bad. Made it home. I had another 2 sick days at home, taking my medication and everything still, and that was it. That was why we never got to see Dubai, and that is why there's no Dubai vlog. I basically only seen the healthcare system in Dubai, which I can tell you was very good. That is as far as our Dubai experience went, and I was really disappointed about this, especially when we got home and I was editing the vlogs that you have previously seen. I did have a little bit of a cry, because I was thinking this was such a big trip, it was such a big moment. But I've spoke to friends and family and everyone, and it wasn't meant to be this time. We had still such an amazing trip, but Dubai wasn't meant to be this time. It was not on our cards this time, and that's fine. So, but this vlog I'm going to be like just carrying on my day, but it's going to be a Q&A about the full trip, because so many questions have been asked, whether it be Instagram DMs, TikTok, whatever. I'm getting a lot of questions, so I thought I'm just going to compile them all into this video. as I'm going about my day. It's going to be like a Q&A, but it kind of like it's a different style of Q&A to what I've ever done before. So you'll have to let us know feedback on it. I'm just playing around with editing. I've got a lot of new equipment recently, a lot of new stuff, and I'm just really enjoying playing around with technology a little bit recently. I feel like I'm really in a creative, what's the opposite to rut? Like I've been in creative rut so much, but this is a creative, the opposite to rut, where I'm like really motivated and stuff. I'm in one of them. Come to the conclusion this is slightly a bit too strong, but it's going to see Nana and Grandad. Hi.
I'm going like that.
I thought it was the wind.
No, it's windy the day, isn't it? Hello, you alright?
All right, my love.
Summary.
Thank you. Well, I thought I didn't realise it was this windy when I come out the house. You okay?
Evening.
So how's tricks?
Yeah, much better. Do I look that good, like Nana?
You do, yeah. All these places you've been to, how was it getting the vegan food? Was there many people selling it or restaurants? Or?
Bali was the best. So Bali was dead easy because Bali's a lot of fruit and veg and like natural, like what do you call it, natural food. But Singapore, everything had fish, meat, egg. So I really struggled in Singapore. There was a few, there was a few places where I go in and I couldn't even get, like, there was nothing on the menu. So I was looking at the sides and I was just getting like chips and like, you know, sides and stuff like that.
Places where you're indoors in a restaurant or on, when you see them on the streets just eating.
A mix. We went to a hawker's market in Singapore, which was really nice. I managed to get some like vegan, traditional Chinese style pancake things. Oh. They were lovely, and one of them had red bean in, which was actually kidney bean, but it was like sugared. It was bizarre. And another one had peanut butter in. And then I found one restaurant which had a vegan like beef style bowl with rice and like a proper traditional Chinese dish. That was amazing. Singapore, I struggled quite a bit. Bali, easy. Everywhere you went, you get stuff. Hong Kong, I'd kind of lost my appetite a little bit then because that's when I started to get sick. But Hong Kong looked much better than Singapore in terms of vegan food by the looks of it. And then I never got to experience Dubai apart from the hotel.
We were told that you've just had. Did you think it was a cheap holiday or an expensive holiday?
Ooh, I think because we went to 4 places, it was expensive, and they were all completely different price ranges. So, like Singapore, bit more expensive than England, I'd say. Bali, cheap. Hong Kong, I would say on par with England, and then we never got to experience Dubai, obviously. But I think combined, it was an expensive holiday because of all of the places we went, and we didn't hold back. We did every every attraction we wanted to do. We had budget to do things, and I think that was important because we didn't want to get there and feel like we couldn't do stuff. So we'd catered for the fact that we wanted to do all these things. Bali, like we were going out for 3-course meals, and we were literally getting our bill. So we were getting 3-course meals, probably 2 rounds of drinks each. Good meals as well, in like lovely restaurants, and our bills was coming to 30-40 quid. Unbelievable. Like Singapore was a little bit more expensive than home. Did I tell you about the cocktails?
No.
Oh, so Sean, right? You know when you get a cocktail at home, and well, I know you're on cocktail drinkers, but if you get or even if you get a vodka, right, Nana?
Yeah.
If you get a vodka at home, they'll say, do you want a single or a double, don't they? And you choose. So we went in and we got 2 mojitos each, which is like this minty rum drink. And the barmaid, do you want a double? She went, Sean, do you want a double? Well, we're used to that question at home. Do you want a double shot of the alcohol? We were having a good night. Said, I get myself the double, right? So she went, okay, I'll make you a double. Oh, no. A double in Singapore for this cocktail wasn't just an extra shot of your cocktail. It was double the drink. So it was this slushy, like, mojito drink, and it came and it was massive. It was like a fish bowl. Honestly, we nearly died. It was over 100 quid. I went, what have you done? Sean went, well, she just asked if I wanted a double, and I said, yeah. So what we didn't realise was the price on the menu. It was an expensive place anyway. It was like 20 something pound for one. So we said, we'll get one each and just say we've done it, you know. But then when she went, do you want a double? He went, yeah. So the price was 40 odd quid per drink. No, and I was like,
That's why I said to the blonde girl, are you paying by card or cash? I says, well, you've got to tell us what the price is first, and then When she asked us, do you want a single or a double? I says, if I had wanted a double, I would have asked you.
Grandad. You think they should just serve a single
Just what you ask
Until you
for.
ask for.
for a double?
And it's the way they've been told to do it at the club.
Baby ones come down as well. The way they're running.
Next stop is my grandma's. Hello? Hello. I thought I would grace you with my presents. Date ring, I just put that in there.
Very pretty.
Thank you.
Did all your travels fulfil your expectations?
Yes and no. I think it's hard to have expectations for countries that we've went to because they're so different to anything we'd ever seen before. Singapore, the humidity really caught us off guard there. Just so hot. You literally would leave the hotel and me and Sean would both be dripping in sweat. Like, you wouldn't even do anything. You'd literally just walk out the door and it was so hot. I know you hear about it, but until you experience it, I think it's a lot different than what you expect. So I think Singapore, in terms of the attractions in the place, absolutely unbelievable. Met my expectations, but just the weather set us back a bit. I don't know, I struggled with the weather more than I thought there.
Singapore, your favourite place then?
I'd say Bali was.
Oh,
Singapore was the place that... So, you know, it's funny because Singapore was the place I was actually probably most excited about going. It had always been my dream and I loved it, don't get us wrong. Nothing about it disappointed us. But I think seeing Bali, it was very different to what I'd expected. So I just loved it. Way of life, very different. I'd never seen anything like it before in terms of how relaxed everything is there. It's hard to describe. Yes and no, it felt slow, but it felt busy. I don't know. I think it's one of them places that you'd have to go to know what I mean. And expectation wise, I think I didn't know what to expect from Bali. I really didn't. You know, Hong Kong actually, I kind of expected in my head, I don't know if you would have this interpretation, but I expected Hong Kong to be quite advanced in terms of like technology and way of living, but it wasn't. It was quite far back. Like, for example, one of the funniest things was me and Sean getting in our taxi from the airport to the hotel. The taxis were so old, the cars, like, were that old cars. They were tiny old cars. All the taxis were these same old cars. Our luggage didn't even fit in the trunk of the car, so we drove all through Hong Kong on these busy motorways and everything with the boot open, our luggage half sticking out. Me and him were going, we're going to lose our case, it's going to fly out the end. And we were beside ourselves because it started to rain, so when we got to the hotel and got our cases out, they were dripping wet.
Oh, God.
So, and it didn't take card payments, so we had to have cash out for Hong Kong, and that was another thing, that you needed cash a lot of places in Hong Kong. And I don't know why. Singapore was very advanced, and I kind of interpreted Hong Kong to be the same, but it really wasn't. I think, yes, it did meet my expectations, the places we got to see and stuff, and I loved it, but I think also it was hard to have expectations because I'd never been to places like it before.
Would you like to live permanently in any of them?
I could see myself living in Bali, aye.
Could you?
Aye. It would be a very different, and I think if I was ever making that decision to live in Bali though, you'd be uprooting a lifestyle, and you'd be going there with the intent and knowledge that you're going to be living a completely different lifestyle because it's so different to England. So I would have to be wanting to change my complete lifestyle. What did I learn from this trip and this travelling journey? We tried to cram 4 places into quite a short period of time. We did 6 nights, and then it was going to be 3 nights Hong Kong, 3 nights Dubai. And I think looking back now, if we're going to do a multi-trip like that again, we wouldn't do 3 nights and 3 nights in a place. We would do 6 nights, 6 nights, 6 nights, and just do 3 locations. Moving from location to location in just a short period of time really takes it out of you. You feel like chaotic. You feel like you haven't got your life together. Your case is getting unpacked and packed again. And I just felt a little bit chaotic, and it's something that we never really considered. We were just like, yeah, we'll just have to do it, get it bashed out. Because in my mind as well, I was kind of thinking like, on a cruise it's fine because you see so many places, and on a cruise you do it. You get to see so many places, but on a cruise you have a base. On a cruise you have the ship where you unpack all your belongings and you have everything and you can cram everything in because you're always going back to that base. You're not like having to take everything with you. And I think that's what I really, really love about cruises, is getting to see so many places in a short period of time, but it's not as chaotic as trying to do it independently, which is something we noticed. So we are planning another big trip for October, and I think on that trip we're going to do 6 nights in 3 places instead of 4 places, and you know, that malarkey.
So what shocked you most on your holiday?
You know, I think what I was shocked about, what I knew about, but I didn't realise it would be so bad, and I struggled more than I thought, was one, the humidity in Singapore. Bali was just out of this world. Like, I think there's so much. I think what shocked us the most,
Stray dogs.
you know, right, this was something that I really thought I'd struggle with. I think I'd even spoke to you about it, hadn't I? Mm-hmm. But genuinely, right, they all looked happy. They weren't underfed. It's a different life for them. Like, we have our pets and we're used to them on sofas and stuff. They don't have that, granted, but they've never known that. And honestly, I didn't get sad. I actually was like,
Fed them out, like in the
fed them. We even got food from the thing and fed them. And I didn't feel like, I don't know, I didn't feel sad for them at all, because I didn't think they looked sad.
Oh, you're such a pretty girl.
Honey, if you like it, then shoot, put a ring on it. Whoa,
Oh, you're so good.
whoa, 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 whoa.
All the single ladies. Glorious feeling. I'm happy again.
Love your mummy.
Oh, 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 oh.
Avocado, plant pioneers coleslaw, couscous, Richmond meat-free honey roast sliced ham. Hi, Henry. Tomato and basil pasta, actual tomatoes, sushi. Another question that I kept getting on Instagram is, did I lose hair in Bali? I was in Bali for 6 days and washed my hair twice with the shower, and then obviously I was in the pool and stuff. I didn't know that the pool water there could make you lose your hair as well, so I wasn't like not getting my hair wet. I was just honestly getting my hair wet quite a lot. I did, and to be honest, I don't think I experienced any more hair loss. I lose quite a lot of hair on the daily anyway, and I don't feel like I experienced any more hair loss than I'm used to at home. So I'm gonna have to say that I didn't lose any more hair in Bali. I feel like because people usually go to Bali for longer periods of time, I don't know, 2 weeks, if you're using the water there for 2 weeks, washing your hair, going in the pool and stuff, then obviously that could be a completely different situation. But I think in the 6 days we were there, it wasn't something that caused me an issue anyway. But I've heard so many people lose their hair in the water in Bali, so it is definitely something to consider if you're going. People were asking about the vaccines that were needed for this trip. Anyway, I decided to use the Boots Travel Centre. So basically, some Boots, I don't think it's all Boots, but if you look online and go to like the travel centres on Boots, you can have an appointment, tell the person, I think they're a nurse, like where you're going and everything, and they can recommend what vaccines you should get. Some people commented on my Instagram saying like, oh, you can get all of the vaccines through the NHS. This strictly was not true in our case. We could only get some of the vaccines on the NHS. So basically we were told the ones that pose a threat if brought back to the UK, the ones that pose a threat to the public in the UK that you could potentially bring back, we were told they were the ones that you can get on the NHS. So I went to my doctors and I had like a consultation with them, and I got my rabies, my tetanus, I think it was hepatitis A or B, I can't remember which one. And then we had our Boots travel appointment. You can also do these at Superdrug, I think, as well. We just went to Boots because it was nearer to us. We spent a small fortune on vaccines. Yeah, we spent about £700 on getting the vaccines we needed for going away, so this was not cheap at all, and this was like quite a big expense of the holiday. We got the tetanus, the hepatitis A and B, polio, rabies and Japanese encephalitis, and I think that one was because we were going to Singapore and Hong Kong. It came up as like recommended to get. We wanted to be safe and get all the ones that were recommended to. You definitely don't have to do this. You can get ones in which you feel are more at risk, like your rabies, your tetanus and stuff, but we just decided to get them all because of a bit of a hypochondriac and didn't want to regret not getting them. Whoa. I had a lot of people asking how we planned the trip. Well, it wasn't like that. Planning the trip was deciding where we wanted to go. Once I had that, I went on to Skyscanner, and I used Skyscanner to book all of our flights. So I used Skyscanner to basically look for the best deals when it came to flights. But then Skyscanner referred us to Travel Up. So I actually booked the flights through a company called Travel Up and I didn't have any issues with it. And then accommodation, I went on to booking.com and I used that for all of the accommodations. Stayed in hotels and Bali was more of a resort, but it was still on booking.com. So we stayed there. That was how I planned it all. In terms of transfers and taxis, we just used, so in Hong Kong, Dubai, in Singapore, we basically just used the taxis at the airport, but most airports have a taxi rank, so we kind of just went on that knowledge and we got the taxis there absolutely fine. And then in Bali, because it's quite a long transfer, the hotel had asked us if we wanted them to arrange it for us, and we obviously did. So they arranged it and we got to meet Krishna, who basically became our driver for full time we were in Bali. I go into Uber in Bali and would like his details, pop us a message on Instagram and I'll pass them over. I did clarify with him that it was okay and he said yeah, I can pass on his details. Oh fucking hell, just whacked me up. Mum got us this new bedding from Donnelly. She got it in the sale for 15 quid. How gorgeous is it? And it seems like a really nice quality as well. I love a new bedding. As you can see, I'm not a pro when it comes to the cushions and the lines and everything. It's a bloody mess, but it does me fine.